As I've stated many times in this series, the turn of the century was when photography erupted into the mass market. Eastman debuted his Kodak in 1888, which signaled for the floodgates to open, and suddenly a deluge of consumer-grade photographic equipment poured into the cultural landscape. Almost every major retailer wanted in on the action. Camera ads were everywhere. Prior to 1895, there was at least 10 major US camera manufacturers, not including overseas manufacturers. It was the Wild West of photography. Hell, you could even build your own white label camera products, rip the nameplates off, and resell them with your brand label. And you could make a killing off of this. The photographic gatekeepers were cast down, and this relatively new art form was thrust into the hands of the average person. Everyone and anyone could now be a photographer. It was a proper frenzy. But it also nurtured a lot of shady fly-by-night businesses who took advantage of that excitement. Companies like Yale Camera, which we discussed in a previous video. Well, today I want to talk about another one, the Unexcelled Camera and Supply Company, and I'm going to do something a little different this time. I want to take you through my research process because there is a latent sort of futility when it comes to researching these camera companies, and I want to share that with you. So let's actually dive into this. I initially ran across this ad while I was parsing through adverts provided by camera guru Michael Butkus. This was a full-page spread addressing the Mystic camera line, allegedly manufactured by the Unexcelled Camera and Supply Company. It appears to be just a simple box camera, another one of these cheapo cameras you could pay off monthly like Yale. Good on installments. We trust your honesty. See, my bullshit alarms are already going off right now. Their address is listed as 23 Duane Street. Let's keep that in mind. Call it a intuition. I began my research by just looking up as many ads as I can. We could actually find Mystic ads in a number of publications: Popular Educator, The Cosmopolitan, Ansley's Magazine, Primary Education, Comfort, and McClure's, and they're all pretty much the same ad. But it's not until we hit an 1899 issue of The Black Cat where we get some salacious insight. Oh, and as a side note, this sarsaparilla ad is just delightfully gruesome. Wait a minute, for purifying the blood and invigorating the system? Ooh, that tastes like eugenics. Anyway, let's look at the Black Cat ad. Camera free for 2 hours work. Ooh, that's interesting. We will send 10 copies of Colonial Magazine prepaid, sell to your friends at 10 cents each, return to us the dollar, and we will send a good Mystic camera, prepaid for free. But if we go back to this ad, the cheapest Mystic camera, the number 2, is only $1.25. You're still paying for the bulk price, so it's not free. Oh, and then there's this ad in the Cosmopolitan dating back to 1898. Ladies and gentlemen with literary ability to act as correspondents for a new magazine, send addressed envelope for terms, etc. Colonial Magazine. This is an outright scam, a pyramid scheme. Buy a bunch of junk, sell it to your friends. That's an MLM scam. And these ads appeared in magazines that primarily catered towards women. So let's quickly look up Colonial Magazine to see if there's any connective tissue between it and Unexcelled Camera. Well, there's a bunch of shit from the 1840s and... oh, there's the October 1895 issue of The Writer. Colonial Magazine is a new monthly devoted to the interests of the patriotic organizations of America? Jesus. And would you look at that, it does look like an official publication. And here's an 1899 issue, but no connective tissue. I don't know if Unexcelled had a deal with Colonial, if they were an unlicensed dealer. Record keeping back then was next to nothing, so for now, the trail goes cold. Next we have this ad from Muncie's. You can get their catalog, which includes cameras, bicycles, and watches. Oh, and look at that! Their address changed. 100 Fulton Street now. This was all like less than 3 months apart from the Black Hat ad, by the way. Okay. I'm done gawking at ads, I promise. But now I want to know who the fuck they are. So let's start jumping into some actual hard research, but that doesn't necessarily mean we're going to stop looking at ads. All we're doing now is examining them in their historical context. The most significant ad I came across was another full-page spread from the June 1899 edition of Broadway magazine. Here, the company was either changed or abbreviated to the Unexcelled Camera Company, but it's what they're advertising that really struck me. They're offering a full developing outfit plus a camera, all bearing the name Cyclone. Okay, first, 1899. That's a very significant date in the history of photography. Something big happened that year. All right, now let's do some speculating. The Cyclone camera line was first introduced by the Western Camera Manufacturing Company in 1897. In 1899, as Eastman Kodak was lapping up competition and cementing its monopoly of the industry, Western attempted to compete with Kodak's iron-tight grip on photographic paper by purchasing the Holyoke Paper Company and the Nepra Chemical Company, both of which are needed to produce photographic paper. But also in 1899, Western Camera joined the infamous five-company consolidation effort led by Rochester Optical to form a mega company that could compete with Eastman Kodak. Additionally, Western was already hawking Cyclone cameras to anyone who wanted them, probably in a desperate effort to generate profit amid the growing yellow giant. And if we do a casual search of Cyclone cameras, we can actually sort of see this effort in an 1899 issue of Leonard's Illustrated Medical Journal, which offered Cyclone cameras to subscribers. My speculation is that Unexcelled somehow got their hands on a bunch of Cyclone cameras and just resold them under the name Mystic. In fact, the Mystic looks suspiciously like the Cyclone, comparing the artwork from the ad to Western's own catalog. But reselling cameras for such hideously discounted rates as cover for a potential pyramid scheme is not a viable business model. And it would only be a matter of time before creditors and investors would probably want their money back. You can keep switching your address, but the only inevitable option is to, well, fly by night. And the Unexcelled Camera Company virtually disappeared after 1899. And that's where the story ends. It was a company that only lasted a year or so, and for the most part, they were just another brick in the big photographic wall. Now we're left with one question, the only question. Were they successful? Well, in a 1903 issue of Camera magazine, reader Elizabeth, who owns a Mystic, posed this question: "What make is the Mystic camera?" And the response was, "Do not know, never heard of it." Okay, so at least one person fell for this alleged scam. Doing a search for Mystic camera does lend a few mentions post-1899, but only as a self-containing name and not associated at all with the Unexcelled camera. I pull these instances off to the side because they are well past that 1899 date. But let's look at them anyway, because maybe there's something there. There is the Mystic Camera Company, which is mentioned in the corporation directory for New York in March 1908. It appears again in the 1915 report by the Board of Estimate and Appointment for New York, and in the 1916 New York City record. As far as I can tell, this might have been a small local camera company that probably sold white label photographic products. And even more interestingly, in the December 1915 issue of The Practical Druggist, there is a whole write-up promoting a Mystic camera window display. I don't know what to make of this. There's also mentions of a Mystic Camera Club in Medford, Massachusetts. I followed this line, but it leads nowhere. And that's it. That's all there is. We're left with more questions and no answers. And I don't know how to end this because we didn't learn anything from it.